Clay, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. And so if you let these pinheads get in your way, you're in trouble. Acta non verba is the motto of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I had appointments to Naval Academy and Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy. And Merchant Marine Academy's motto was acta non verba. In other words, don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do. Clay, my honor to be on your show. And thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learn from you. So congratulations.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown probably 5 times. We've added, I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees. And now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrive Time, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. So I've probably been to, in 6-7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences. And amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team about marketing and how to implement, how to help you guys implement the SEO. And the coaching is just great because there's accountability, and it's just a fantastic way to grow your company. Having a relationship with Thrive Time it's just been amazing for MultiClean. Oh my goodness, it frees me up because then I don't have to take a class on search engine optimization or learn marketing or shoot video. That's not what we do. What we do is commercial janitorial service. And you guys are the experts on marketing, and you teach me and hold my hand and show me how to do it right. And therefore, now my company is much, much larger.
Folks, on today's show, we're joined by a real client. He may look like a male model. He may look like a hologram, but he's a real person. He's a longtime client. He's a man that we consider to be a friend of the Thrive Time Show and a friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Kevin. Welcome onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Clay, I'm doing great. Had a great Christmas holiday, and I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so first question, can you tell us what is your name, first and last name, and what's the name of your company, sir?
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas.
And how long have we worked with you approximately at this point, sir?
It's been about 6-7 years.
Welcome back to the Mel K Show. We are back inspiring people to get their best lives going now. Start that small business. Make your small business grow, scale it up. Let's all be part of taking back and growing America's prosperity again. And we have the great Clay Clark here to discuss it with us today. Thank you for joining us, Clay.
Hey, thank you for allowing me to be here with you. And I will say, since I talked to you last, I've talked to 3 of your great listeners.
Great.
One guy is in the hair business. He loves your show, listens all the time. And I'll summarize what he was saying to me. He says, I love the Mel K Show. I go there for truth. I go there for facts. And he's like, now I'm actually able to go there for some things I can do on a practical level between your book and between these sessions where we teach about business growth. He is your book and this kind of stuff. He's loving it. So again, thanks, Mel, for giving us this opportunity.
Awesome. Well,
yeah, I was. It was interesting. You also asked a question about, what do you love about the show, or do you, and also what. And this is not self-serving because you asked about when we bring in some of these more solutions. So you talk about business excellence or sovereignty, things like that, and how to be a better a citizen, if you will. And part of that is being your own best advocate, and which is something that we really advocate for here. And so we want to do as much of that as possible because we really, really do want to give people solutions.
Yeah.
Well, I could not be more fired up. And so on today's show, if anyone's taking notes, we're gonna cover 5 points, but there are 5 specific details I want to get into today. So the main topic, the main idea is producing predictable success. Predictable success.
Great.
And I have a notable quotable that comes in hot from Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was a best-selling author, kind of a self-help guru. May he rest in peace. And I listened to a lot of his audio books while I was driving from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Dallas, Texas every weekend. And someone says, every weekend? Every weekend. You see, I built my company, djconnection.com. I was 23 years old, 24. We were doing thousands of events per year. And I had this crazy idea that we could double the size by beginning operations in Dallas, Texas. And so because we could not afford to have full-time people in Dallas, Texas yet, I would get in my van at 3 a.m. and I would drive from Tulsa to Dallas. So I'd get to Dallas about 7 a.m. every single Saturday. And then every Saturday from 7 a.m. to about 3 p.m., I'd visit every venue in Dallas that I could and beg them to refer us. And that was the process I did. So to get through it, I would listen to Jim Rohn until my head exploded. And one of the notable quotables that he says, if your behavior is dictated by something that is unpredictable, your results will be unreliable. Let me try it again. If your behavior is dictated by something that is unpredictable, your results will be unreliable. And so on today's show, I really want to get into the mechanics of how do you produce predictable success. And it's not a big hack. It's not a big confusing circular conversation. It's a real thing. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this clip here. This is a real client who is an automotive repair client. This looks a lot like me. This is the client here, okay? And this is Roy, and he has an automotive repair shop. He had been in business for over 20 years before I met him. And he's now producing more money in a year than he used to make in 10 years. So each year, he now makes more money than he used to make in 10 years. So folks, listen to this story. Roy Cogshaw is his name. Here we go. What kind of growth have you had since you and I have been working together over these past few years?
3.45 million. I got those stats before I got on here.
So you've grown by 3.45 million.
Yeah, 3,450,000.
Would that be like if you took the combined revenue, maybe doubled it? Have we gone up by
about almost 3, not quite.
Can you talk about just maybe the impact it's made on you, knowing that, okay, I'm going to pay this guy this amount of money. I'm not going to get a random fee or a random charge, or he's not going to, go, oops, we had 2 calls, so it's more, or wow, we didn't meet this week, so it's less. Can you talk about just knowing in your mind that you got the graphic design, the photo, the video, the web, the search, the ads, all of that is a monthly thing?
Yeah. I not too long ago, I looked at what the average percentage of sales was spent on marketing, and I'm like half of the bottom number is what spent on marketing. Obviously, my marketing's working because we're tracking it, right, and the sales growth. And as far as the SEO and like I've messed up and didn't send money to the hosting service and crashed my website. Clay had it back up in half a day. It's really great to have somebody call, just fixes it. I can do what I do, you do what you do. So it's very powerful to me to have somebody that no matter what's going on, no matter what crashes, you can take care of it. And I'm very convinced that it's a great bargain. I don't know how you do what you do as cheap as you do, but it actually is super economical.
Now, this guy's been a client mail for 10 years. And so I really want to get into the specifics of it, but I want to go back and forth with you if I can, because I want to tap into your wisdom. When you were on a movie set and they said, we're going to start at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Was that something that happened? They said, we're going to start at 10 and then.
No, it was usually more like 4 a.m., but yeah.
Okay. We're going to start at 4 a.m. Okay.
Right.
And they want you, what, dressed to impress, ready to go? I mean, how did that go? Did they say, could you try to be here at 4 a.m. if you get a chance? What kind of directive was given to you?
No, you had to be there at 4 a.m. Always. And no, it wasn't. There was never an option to show up when you wanted to and then get ready to work. No. It's very, very cutthroat, and you have to be there on time because, there's hundreds of people on a set that are all counting on everyone else to be there and doing their job. And every person on the crew has a specific job. So one person, not showing up, not being ready to work is a problem for everyone and costs a lot of money.
So I'm going to write this. Step number 1, I want everyone to write down your key performance indicators. Key performance indicators. So It's an interesting story. A friend of mine, a longtime client of mine, great guy. He's lost almost 90 pounds in the past 18 months. And he's not from Tulsa. He doesn't come into our office very much, but he came to our last conference. And I'm like, where did you go? You know, it's wild. I had to get used to him a little bit. And he carries around this journal, and he's writing in the journal, you know, and he's carrying it. He wasn't making a big deal about it. He just looked like, I mean, imagine a guy who's lost 90 pounds. It's pretty wild. And he's carrying around his little journal. And that's a new thing. I've never seen him carry this little journal. I said, what is this? What is this thing you carry? He says, oh, I log everything that I eat. And I go, well, and how does that go? And he goes, well, I log nothing until noon because I do intermittent fasting. So I never eat until noon. And then I log nothing after 5. And then I'm going, and really, why do you do that? He goes, there's something about the intentionality of knowing that my eating window is between 12 and 5. He's like, I've known that in my head, but I needed to do it. So I block out time, and that's when I eat. And I primarily only eat protein. And I thought, wow. And he goes, Clay, it's very similar to like when I grow my businesses. You know, he said, when I first started working with you, I did not block out time in my schedule for the things that move the needle. I would just try to get to it if I had a chance. And he says, you know, I just blocked it out. And so I think anybody, if you're watching today's show, I don't care where you're stuck. We want to write down specifically your key, we call them key performance indicators, but you want to write down the things that matter and you want to block out time for it. So I'm going to get really specific. So I'm going to pull up an example. So Roy has this automotive repair shop, and he's a great guy. I mean, just a great guy, not a lazy guy, hardworking guy. Okay. And so if you do a search for, let's say, Broken Arrow automotive repair, all right, Broken Arrow automotive repair, this guy, there he is. He comes up top in the search results, and he's automotive repair shop. Okay. So another client of mine, these are real examples. Okay. These guys now are the highest rated and most reviewed company in America. They have 314,000 objective reviews, and they have 540 locations. Could you imagine growing from a handful of locations to 540 locations? I mean, these people have been clients of mine for 18 years. One more client who's been a client. Think about this, folks. I've had the same client. Let me pull this up. This particular client has been a client of mine for over 15 years. Okay. So this particular business, Cavell Fit, I've worked with the wonderful owner of this business for 15 years. Since I was 9 years old. The same. And you say, well, why does this guy, Brett, why does he put up with you every week? And why can't he do it on his own? I would say this again, he needs, everybody needs, we need to have somebody who's not in the business, who can look at our business objectively and our life objectively and say, this is what's going to move the needle and pull you out of the emotions. And so I was working with Roy. Roy's this great guy, and he says, Clay, I want more leads. I say, no problem. Let's get you more leads. He says, what do I need to do to get more leads? I said, you'll need to get 2,000 objective Google reviews, 2,000 objective Google reviews, and you're going to need to get 2,000 original pages of content. He says, I need to do 2,000 Google reviews and 2,000 objective pages of content. I said, yes, sir. He's like, well, how would you do that? I would say, I would suggest getting 5 a day. And we have been on this path. And Mel, once he came up as the highest rated, most reviewed guy in Oklahoma. Oh, but right. This has been a multi-year path, and every year the revenue grows. But now he's soaring. And Mel, I think there's somebody out there, you have a big goal like that seems kind of unsurmountable, 2,000 reviews, but you got to break it down into those daily steps. And I think that's what you had to do to make your career happen. I mean, the first step was what? Moving to Hollywood. And then step 2 is, but I mean, there's all these big goal, but we've got to break it into small steps.
Yeah.
I just think it's so important if you're watching today's show. That has to happen. Now, the second step we have to do is we need to make a calendar of what our day is going to look like. We have to block out, we have to make a calendar. So today, because you've lowered your broadcast standards, I'm here with you, and I like being here with you. But it means that I'm not doing something else. And so today I've had multiple people who have called me, texted me, emailed me, hey, could you hop on a call? I got a quick question, whatever. But I'm blocking out time. And Mel, I think what happens, and Rob, maybe you saw this in your corporate world, and then now that you're doing broadcasts and you're interviewing the who's who, if you and Mel say, hey, we're going to interview this guest between this time and this time, you can't do something else at that time. You got to have like a reverence for that time. Can you talk about that, Rob? Because I think some people, we have the big idea, but for whatever reason, we are reluctant to block out the specific time to get it done.
Well, I think it's at the end of the day, it's critical to show up when you're supposed to show up. I mean, that is like step one of anything. And a lot of kids, maybe don't learn that right away. They're kind of soft in the schools, and they can get their homework in late, or they can show up late, and then that carries it over. But like, for instance, when I started in Wall Street, I mean, the market opens at a certain time. You got to be there. And when you're meeting clients, they're flying in from somewhere else. You got to be there, and when you're dealing with your team, you have to, you have meetings and you have to be there. Now, the only way things happen, like you said, is breaking down those components and showing up is like bare minimum.
Consistently, yes.
Yeah. And it helps you with the other side. So whether it's a client or an employee or a partner you're working with, they have this professional, respect if you respect them.
If you're watching today's show, I know this might not seem like the most profound stuff ever, but again, you go back to this automotive repair shop guy. He has an automotive repair shop. What do I know about automotive repair shops? I don't know about Broken Arrow automotive repair shops, but here's what I do know. I know that Broken Arrow is a city, and I know that people who live in Broken Arrow are going to go to Google, and they're going to type in Broken Arrow automotive repair or just automotive repair. And if you're not in the top 10, you're just not going to win. I said, Roy, I love you so much. I need you every day to get 5 Google reviews. Folks, for 10 years, we've been having this conversation. He is doing more money. He's making more money now in a year than he used to make in 10 years. I mean, this guy is on fire, okay? So we had to sit down and block out time because he's a busy guy. They're repairing cars, lots of customers are coming in. They've got lifts. They've got all the things you would expect, mechanical problems, employee problems. There's a lot of stuff going on here. And so it's not like he's sitting around doing nothing. So we have to go ahead and rise above the daily distraction, and we have to focus on the actions that will move the needle. So step number 1, you have to write down your key performance indicators. So with Roy, what do? I said, we've got to gather at least 5 Google reviews every single day. Okay. Step number 2, we've got to gather video reviews. And someone says, video reviews? Why do you have to gather video reviews? Well, I don't know about you, Mel, but there's a lot of shady mechanics out there. And if you and Rob are thinking about taking your car to get repaired, a lot of people click on the reviews button. They read the reviews. They want to make sure they're not dealing with a shady contractor. And so we've had to record multiple video reviews. So now if you go to YouTube, okay, or you go to Google and you type in the garage auto repair, he has over 500 documented video reviews.
Wow.
I mean, this is like, look at this. And it might not seem like exciting if you're somebody who's not getting your car repaired today, but if you are, people watch these videos, and they watch them before they make their decision. And so what? Yeah. So he's putting up videos. Look at this. It's crazy. Epic numbers of videos, constantly new videos coming up every couple of weeks. Look at all these people. And so what's he doing? And I'm putting notes on it here, okay, for anybody watching today's show. So 1, we had to gather objective Google reviews, okay, every single day. How many? You got to put a quota on it. Gather 5 objective reviews per day. And you might say, this is not exciting. I want exciting stuff. This is what moves the needle. Then we say, gather 5 objective video reviews. And this is real stuff. And you say, we're going to do this every day. And then what else do we have to do? We need to write 5 articles of content per day. You say content per day? Yeah. You know why? Because Google is powered. There's variables that control Google. Some of us are concerned about Google. I know I am. But one of the things that it indicates whether your site's going to rank or not is whoever has the most original HTML content. And because he's an automotive repair guy, guess what he's not doing? He's not writing blogs about car repair all day.
Right.
So, but it doesn't mean he doesn't need to do it. So he says to us, well, could you guys write it for me? And so for our coaching clients, we charge $1,700 a month. We do that for him.
Wow.
But if you're watching today's show, whether you hire us or not, you're going to have to figure out what are these activities that are going to move the needle. And Mel, everybody watching today's show is busy. Everybody has kids. Everybody was a kid. Everybody has drama. Everybody has an issue, but we got to block out time. And Mel, I think there's somebody watching this right now who doesn't have your background because you went into Hollywood where it is rigid and they need to have maybe a tough love moment from you. What do you say to somebody who says, I'm struggling to block out time for the things that move the needle?
Well, all I have to say is once you change your habits and change your mind and don't think of it that way, I think it's also about thinking. It's about how you think about what matters to you and prioritizing. And for me personally, it's always been about what results do I want and working backwards. And that often includes what you're talking about, which is making sure that I do things every single day that are going to move the needle, be it class or meeting up with somebody or catching up with contacts or anything like that. But every single day, you have to keep moving forward and finding ways to continue motivating yourself, because then, of course, that takes on a life of its own. So a lot of the stuff you're talking about, once they become habit, it becomes part of your daily life. And you don't think about, I don't have the time, because you made the time. And once you make the time, then everything changes. If you keep saying, I don't have time, you're never going to have time.
Now, moving on to the second pro tip here, it's time blocking. And I'll tell our listeners a secret. This will be between you and me and everybody watching. My wife is having her birthday. She's turning, 22 for the 20th time or something. And so she's going to this kids event. She's going to Branson, Missouri right now as we're recording this. She's going to Branson, Missouri. And she thinks that I'm going to stay in Tulsa and watch the kids who aren't at the end of the year trip in Branson, Missouri. My wife's taking the kids in a massive van, taking the whole school with her, all these kids, dozens of kids. They're all going to Branson for the end of the year party. And I said, I can't go with you because I'm going to be on the Mel K show. True story. Can't do. I got to be with Mel. I've committed to it. I can't be there. So my wife doesn't know. I am secretly plotting and scheming. And there's my son and James and his lady friend. We're all going to drive and surprise my wife for her birthday today in Branson. But to do that, there's multi-step planning. So I had to block out time. So I had to call probably, I don't know, a dozen clients of mine. I said, hey, is it possible that we could move our Friday meeting? I didn't do it last minute. It's not like a last minute. Is it okay if we move our Friday meeting? Because I'd like to leave at 2 if possible so I can get to Branson, Missouri. Could we move our Friday meeting to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, any day, maybe Sunday? And because I have pretty much longtime clients, most of them said, hey, no problem. So my first meeting this morning was at 3 a.m.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. My client says, bro, I'm East Coast. I'll be up at 4. So you want to do 3? No problem. So it's not that it's a mean thing. It's just a real thing because it's my wife's birthday. It's because it is my wife's birthday. It doesn't mean that my East Coast client who has the restaurant doesn't need his services or doesn't need his coaching session. So he said, if you'll do it, if you'll wake up at 3, I'll meet you. I said, no problem. So we did. That was my first meeting. Wow. Then my next meeting had another client. I said, well, I could move it to, 6 a.m. I'm East Coast. So if that's 5 for you. And so I just stacked my morning. So my morning was like my afternoon was my morning. It was pretty wild. But I'm saying that somebody out there, we got to learn time blocking. And what happens is I think some people think, oh, it's my wife's birthday. Thus, I can just not do the action items. And thus, but I still want the results because by virtue of being born, I believe I should have success. So we got a time block. Now, the third, this is big. You have to surround yourself with 5 that make you feel alive. What am I saying? Surround yourself with a tribe that makes you feel alive. I always tell my clients, surround yourself with the top 5 that make you feel alive. Surround yourself with 5 people who know how to get to the top of the mountain. Surround yourself with 5 super success stories. Surround yourself with 5 people that have been to the top and can tell you about getting there. It is so important that you do that. Sorry, I'm yelling. I'm just so passionate about this idea because when you're around people that are super successful, this is just real. When I am in my backyard on a given weekend, I invite people over that I like and know, and some of them own banks, and some of them, have one guy owns over 5,000 railroad cars, which are $250,000 a piece. It's like a multi-billion-dollar business. And I have these guys in my backyard, not because I'm name dropping for your listeners. I'm just saying, I grew up poor. And I remember reading Think and Grow Rich, and Napoleon Hill said,
Me too.
The average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Right.
So I named my son after Napoleon Hill. So my son's name is Aubrey Napoleon Hill Clark. So I made a list of all these super successful people, and I called them with great nervousness. And I said, hey, boop, 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 boop. Excuse me, Mr. Billionaire train guy, is it possible I could meet you for lunch? And he says, his assistant says he's very busy. He doesn't do lunches. I said, can I pay $100 for like 10 minutes? I'll pay $100, 10 minutes, please. I'm an 18-year-old version of myself. Please. I work at Applebee's, Target, DirecTV. I'll pay $200. What do I need to pay for just 10 minutes? And one by one, I wore these people down. Well, now today I'm friends with him by and large, and it really reshapes the way I think. And as I think about this billionaire train railroad car guy, he's the coolest. He's the best dad. He's a super hardworking guy, and he's always busting my chops about blocking out time with my wife. Every time I talk to him, I said, "How are you?" He says, "How's your wife?" I go, "She's good." He's like, "You spend enough time with her? I mean, what's wrong with you?" And so, I mean, it helps when you have those people. Rob, when you have someone in your life that actually cares about you and loves you, and they're living the right way or the way you aspire to be, it makes a big impact on you, Rob. And I'm sure you've seen this as you guys have interviewed everybody in the conservative space over the past 4 years. I'm sure it's impacted you guys because you interview these people on a weekly basis.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I would say that puppies, as much as they love you, they're not very respectful sometimes. You have a puppy running around. No. But yes, I've had the fortunate. I've been very fortunate through my business career and now in this media space with Mel. We have met and through the tour, some of the most amazing people. And it's funny how we've gravitated towards certain ones, and it's helped us define how we want to operate, how we look at others within, our sphere of, activities and influence or what have you. So, yeah, it's critical. And it gives you perspective too, because you can kind of play off each other a little bit. And everyone has slightly different skill sets and slightly different perspectives. It also breaks down certain barriers where sometimes people will look at things and they'll think, well, I can't necessarily achieve that. But if you get to know people who've achieved certain things, but maybe you have not, it takes away the mystique.
Yeah.
I want to go back to this guy, Roy. Now, this is a true story. Everybody, I want you to lock on and assume I'm making this up. Assume I'm making it up. I remember he told me in our meeting, he said, "Clay, my goal is to travel to California every single weekend." He does not live in California. I go, "What is your goal?" He says, "My goal is to fly to California every single weekend with my wife, Jill the Thrill. We're going to fly out every weekend, and we're going to enjoy the California weather, but we're going to make great money in the Midwest, and we're going to fly out that's my goal." And I'm going, every weekend? He says, every weekend. So honest to God, he flies out to California every weekend. So back to Roy. Listen to this story. He's a real guy. He was stuck. Could you imagine running a business and being semi-stuck for 20 years? Here we go.
For me, man, if you want change, you need to change, right? And if you knew what you needed to know to change it, you would already changed it. So it might be good to get some knowledge. I always say this: you're stuck at your level of knowledge right now. So if you don't increase that, you can't go anywhere. And especially in the area of business, most startups are technicians, right? A lot of technicians are kind of arrogant and don't think they need any help. Never even read a book on business. That was me. And then wonder why you're having trouble running one, right? So it is a huge win to actually start learning about business. And I read books now, and I value knowledge. But it was a journey that really took the lid off of me, or I'd be in crisis right now at 65 and having to twist wrenches still and be in that mode I was in when I came to you. So I would encourage everybody, even for your health, your marriage, fix it. You need to fix it.
Folks, on today's show, I mean, this is a real guy. And I remember we were sitting in our meeting and he's going, with my marriage, I think because I've worked so hard for so long, it'd be good if I had a vacation every weekend. And I'm going, well, let's do it. So let's go back to what we've been teaching. We blocked out time. And we blocked it. So we adjusted his calendar so he could do that. Now, this is the next step. Step number 4. You got to measure what you treasure. And with Roy, I remember he said, well, what do you mean by that? And I remember like it was yesterday. I said, anything that we treasure, we have to measure. So for you specifically, Roy, we need to record the inbound calls for quality assurance. We need to measure the results. And do you know what we found, folks? I'll tell you what we found. We found that the person who answered his phones was antagonistic towards customers.
Oh.
So they would answer the phone and say, "Thank you for calling yada yada. How can I help you?" And the customer would say, "Yeah, I've got a yada yada vehicle with this problem. It's making this weird sound." And rather than saying, "Hey, we'll bring your vehicle in. We'll get it taken care of. We'll look at it. We'll help you out," this person would go, this is what they would say. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't know what that sound is. I don't know. So bring it by if you can. Thank you. Bye. And like every call, "Thank you for calling yada yada. How can I help you?" "Okay. Yeah. I mean, didn't we just talk to you? I think I just talked to you." And Yeah, seriously, just drop the vehicle by. Next, hello. And every call, it was like this guy was answering the phone just to get through the day. So his emotional drama that he was bringing from his personal was going on to the phone calls, which was impacting the business. Then I said, we got to measure what you treasure. He says, well, in my automotive repair, how do you do that? I said, how long should it take to repair brakes? How long should it take to repair an engine? How long should it take to change a transmission? How long should it? And we made key performance indicators that were connected to an amount of time for every item. So now when the customer comes in, you can quote them a price and make sure that you're profitable. Because before, if you quote someone a price and if you have no idea how long your staff's going to take to fix the car, you could actually quote a price, and then when you bill the customer, you go backwards. And so we began to measure what we were treasuring and just the process. Then with the accounting, we're looking at the numbers, Mel, and I'm going, if we just raise the prices by 3%, no customer will complain. And that's the difference between you operating at let's say 10% margin and a 13% margin, and you haven't raised prices in over a decade. We should probably do that. And when you start, business owners were so busy, we're just going, and all of a sudden a decade goes by. So here he was, hadn't raised prices in almost a decade. So we raised prices. Anyway, long story short, Mel, the guy's making more money in a year than he used to make in 10 years. And you say, well, Clay, how do you make money? How I make money is I charge people $1,700 a month. And then I get a percentage of the profit. You say, what does that mean? I make a 20% profit with every client I work with. So you say, what does that mean? I mean, I'm charging the client $1,700. And if I do my systems right and my team does their jobs right, we have 45 employees up here, then we make $340 a month. So if you're watching today's show and you need to find a dentist, hopefully your dentist operates at a profit. Whatever they charge you, hopefully there's some profit left there. But I think people believe, because there's such a woo-woo world of scam and spam and this business consulting space. There's so many people that promise you're going to get rich in 5 minutes. That's not what I do, Mel. And that's why we do those workshops as a great way where people can come to the conferences and meet other success stories. You can be in the room sitting next to Roy. You can be in the conference sitting next to Aaron Antis, who's been on your broadcast, who we helped him to grow his company from 14 million to 150 million. At one of our events we were at recently, we had a guy in line out front of our building waiting to get in, and he was in line behind a guy who's worth $100 million. And they're just small talking, and the client comes up to me and goes, is that guy a part owner of the whatever professional baseball team? And I said, yeah. And they're at your conference. I go, oh, yeah. So I'm just telling you, when you're around real entrepreneurs, Mel, something changes. But I think there's a lot of scam and spam and a lot of get-rich-quick stuff that's being pushed. So, Mel, what do you say to somebody who's going, I'm not surrounded by a lot of winners?
Well, first, it's very important for multiple reasons, but also if you are surrounded by people that are always down or everything that is presented, they give you reasons why it won't work, or I'm somebody who says, oh, well, what do I want to do? Okay, I'm going to do it, and then I do it. And there's not a lot of people like that. So it's really important to keep energy up. It has a lot to do with energy and synergy and having the right people around you. And also you want to make sure that everyone on your team is adding something, like Rob said. So everyone that comes into your orbit, your inner circle, has something to offer unique, and you kind of identify that. And while you're working with them, they're getting better at their skills. You're getting better at your skills, and you kind of have osmosis of all of that. So you can always, if you're around other winners, you're going to start to win. And that's because it's a mentality and it's an energy that gets exchanged in a group setting. That's why I don't like people that do everything by the internet or on Zoom calls, because I feel like getting together with people that have great ideas and great energy is the best thing you can do for your own business.
I 100% agree. And I have one final pro tip here for everybody out there here. Even the dogs that may be listening, this is important, okay? You want to find real problems that you can really solve for real people. So if you're watching today's show and you say, I don't have a business. Guys, listen, this morning I'm on the phone call. This is one of my early calls today with Russell Weimer. Russell Weimer. I love this guy. Russell Weimer came to one of our conferences, and he was under the understanding that we were the Reawaken Tour, that the Reawaken Tour is us And that's why he was here. Let me see if I can find a video of him. So Russell's going, I'm here. Teach me how to save America. I don't think he recognized that he was going to be at a business-focused conference. This is Russell. And so he came because he wants to save America. And we have always have different conferences going. And I think he thought he was coming to the conference that was focused more on reawakening America and not these business conferences we've been doing for years. So we get to talking and he says, I've never owned my own business, but do you think I could do it? And I said, yes, sir. He's in Trophy Club, Texas. And so with no previous experience in maintaining pools as an owner, but Mike, guess what? He worked for a pool repair company that just laid him off. So Russell says, you think I can do it? I said, yes, sir. He goes, sir, you think I could start my own company? I said, this is true, Russell. He goes, what's the first step? So we laid out a 45-page plan for him. I mean, it is step by step, 45-page plan. He says, that's 1,700. That's a little bit high. I'm a startup. I said, we have scholarships. So we met him where he was. Just this morning, as God is my witness, he landed his 97th client for pool maintenance, which means he's now making more money than most doctors. And this is a guy who came to a conference, and it wasn't even the conference he thought it was going to be. He came to one of our conferences thinking it had some reawaken. It was like a reawaken tour or something. And he ended up at our business conference. And we've worked with Russell, and he's been diligently implementing the systems. He has over 90 customers today. They're on recurring billing. So what does he do? He fixes pools. So I go back to that fifth point. Find a problem that you can solve for real people that are really willing to pay you. Someone says, I can't repair pools. Okay, let's switch. One lady came to our conference, nice lady. She was 24, 25. She was really into fitness and really into cleanliness. So she came to our conference with an experience in fitness and cleanliness. No experience in business, no background in business, but she knew how to be clean. She said, I'm fastidious about being clean. And she was really into fitness, like really on it about fitness and cleanliness. And she said, if you were me, what would you do? I said, well, because you have something that I believe is a good thing, you're obsessed with cleanliness, maybe you should start a home cleaning service. She says, I'm going to do it. True story. Multi-million-dollar company now. And how? She came to the conference, not even knowing what she would do. She just said, I'm tired of being stuck, and I have a job I don't like. So she came to the conference, and we taught her how to build a home cleaning service that today is a multi-million-dollar company. Another example, I think it's a listener of yours that I met about 2 years ago. He's in Florida, and he had a lawnmower. True story. One of your listeners from like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, we weren't even talking about this stuff. And he pushes a lawnmower, and he has a lawnmower in Florida. He calls me, hey, man, I want to start a business. I don't know what I do, though. I said, what do you do? We're talking about the things. He says, we somehow got to a point. I said, what are problems that you can solve? And he says, my wife thinks I really mow the hell out of a lawn. And I go, really? And he says, I have a lawnmower, a pretty nice one, too, because it's something I'm into. This guy started a lawn mowing service in Florida. No exaggeration. 3 years later, it's a multi-million-dollar company. So these are top of mind examples. I just don't get stuck. You got to find a problem that you can solve that people are really willing to pay you to solve. So recapping here, I could not be more excited about this, folks. Number one, I'm super excited about your success. One, write down your key performance indicators. And you say, well, I don't even know what I would do. Okay, then start off writing down what are the problems that you can solve for real people willing to pay you. Step number two, though, block out time for what matters. You got to say no to grow. Block out time for what matters. Step number three, surround yourself with your top five. If you don't have a top five, come to one of our workshops, meet your top five. Four, measure what you treasure. No matter what area of your life you're trying to improve, measure what you treasure. And then number five, again, find problems that you can solve for real people that are really willing to pay you. And if you're watching today, Robert Kiyosaki, who is the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I'm not trying to brag on myself, I'm just telling you an objective thing that happens to be true that seems to be positive about me. So Robert Kiyosaki, he came to our workshop, and this is the guy who's the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's one of the top 5 best-selling authors in the history of entrepreneurship. He reached out to me this week, and he said, Clay, I have been to so many different workshops, and your business workshop has been the favorite thing I've ever been to
Wow.
And he said it was a spiritual event. So I encourage everybody, if you haven't seen this particular show, it just came out 24 hours ago. He said, Clay, it's my favorite thing. He says, it was just spiritual. And someone says, no, he didn't say that. So I'm going to play this little clip here for you. Then I'll let you hang up on me. This is Robert Kiyosaki. He came to our conference and he was just absolutely blown away. So let me pull it up here. I'm getting him. This is Robert Kiyosaki. I did some editing just so you can see the highlight. Here we go.
Hello, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. It's an exciting time. Also, I think a treacherous time, a spooky time also. But it's always, danger is a good time. Today, my guest is Clay Clark, and I went out with Tom Wheelwright to visit Clay with Eric Trump also. And the reason I want to talk to Clay this morning is a very important subject called study. And the reason I say that is things are changing so fast, and many people are completely missing the show. Things are changing at rapid speed. Technology is changing. And so I went to Tulsa, again, with Tom Wheelwright and Eric Trump. And the thing I was so impressed about Clay is this word called study. I don't know. You guys must be in your water or something, Clay. But boy, I was so impressed how big you guys are. But what really impressed me was you have this huge congregation. They're all about guys your age. They're on fire. And you start your classes at 5 a.m. Now, let me talk to you about study here. We show our books here. Now, this is how I study. This is The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's on the Fed. And Clay's doing the same thing. We study.
He couldn't believe there was a line of people at 5 a.m. waiting to get in. He just couldn't believe. Like, at 5 a.m, people are coming to a business conference. I said, brother, these are entrepreneurs. And why these guys wake up at 6, 5? He was blown away. Anyway, so if you get a chance, folks, watch that interview because he lays out how excited he was to be in the room around excited entrepreneurs. And this is one of the best-selling authors of all time. And he's saying that it fired him up. He's like, I came back to Arizona and I am on fire. So I just encourage everybody, if you feel stuck in a rut in any way, shape, or form, what I want you to do is go over to thrivetimeshow.com. We'll go to thrivetimeshow.com. And what you want to do is use promo code MELK. So when they ask you, we're going to call you, we'll say, how did you hear about us? Say Mel K. And if you say Mel K, what that does is it gets you a discount off of tickets. If you just say Mel K, you get a discount off the tickets. We've got Tim Tebow, the legendary football player turned entrepreneur, joining us June 5th and 6th. We have Eric Trump, Mel K, Stella Manuel, Alina Haba, Amanda Grace, all joining us in Tulsa, Oklahoma in September. And if you use promo code Mel K, you get a discount. Also, you have a chance to win a backstage pass, so you could actually say what's up to Eric Trump. You can actually say hello to Eric Trump. You could say hello to Tim Tebow. So these are all things you can participate in on the Mel K Show. I would argue nobody exposes corruption more than you guys, but when talking to 3 of your listeners this week, all 3 of them in some way, shape, or form told me, they said, hey, I love that Mel is exposing what's going on. And they all love the book, and they all love segments where we're providing solutions. So, Mel, I appreciate you guys for putting out the book. For everybody who hasn't checked out your book yet, you've got this wonderful book that walks people through the process of what you can do as an individual person. There you go, Americans Anonymous. What you can do as an individual to get out there and reclaim victory over your life, reclaim your sovereignty. And Mel, I just appreciate you being so solution-minded as we're going into this transition period here.
Well, I have to also say that I'm watching what is happening on a global scale. That's what I do. And there's a lot of excitement about the future of America. I know if you're watching the news or you're watching the justice system or whatever, but what you have to understand is that there's tremendous investment coming in from all over the world into every avenue. Everything that we sold out is coming back. I'm talking about manufacturing. I'm talking about small business. But I will tell you the most important thing is that Bassin and Trump and their team are really making Main Street the priority. Be rebuilding Main Street America, which means if you're a plumber or a florist or a gym owner or a restaurant owner, or like you said, I have friends that have started businesses being closet organizers, or somebody that packs for somebody when they're moving, or whatever it is that you can do. Like you said, identify it, because the Small Business Administration is coming back to being for the people. And there will be a lot of opportunity for people that have jobs that can rebuild Main Street. We are focusing on rebuilding Main Street as we bring back factories to Ohio, to Pennsylvania, to Michigan, to Oklahoma, to all over this country. You're going to have to know that people are going to move there, and they're going to need the local of everything. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, start to make a list of what you want for your life, what you can do, like you said, what you can market that somebody out there needs, and get to it, because the golden age of America is about the golden age for Main Street, for real Americans. This is about becoming your best self, living your best life, taking sovereignty over your wealth, your health, and your future. So what we want, and what me and Clay are doing together, is bringing you, Clay is it's like a drop in the bucket of what it'll be worth. He charges so little to put together everything that you need to go out there and be the success that maybe up until now, because the world has been living in a debt slavery model, in a model that doesn't let people get ahead, in an upside down fiat currency debt model. Well, guess what? Prosperity is coming, and you want to get in on that track. And getting in on that track by starting a small business, or you want to be a tutor. I mean, there's so much. Just get out there, figure out your passion, what you love, and make it into a profitable business, and take back your personal sovereignty, your individual liberty. That is what this period in America is about. When Kiyosaki is saying so many things are going on and people aren't seeing it, you have to take a step back. And that's why Clay and I are doing these shows weekly, to motivate you to become not only your own boss, but your own hero. So, Clay, I appreciate what you do so much. I'm looking forward to the conference myself. I always leave there with so much, but I have to say, your methods, your ability to inspire people, but your what you take home, it really, really does last. And I know Rob sometimes would look at you putting up your calendar and doing that, but the good thing about you is that you walk the walk. You don't just tell people what to do, you live it. And I'm just really excited that people are going to have the opportunity to go to thrivetime.com, sign up for a consultation, look around, maybe come to the event to meet me or Tim Tebow or Clay or whatever, but you'll meet 100 other people that are doing the same thing. They are taking control of their lives, taking control of their destiny, and they're going to be the ones that at the end of the day, decide where their life is headed. So right now, everyone out there, just go to thrivetime.com, tell them I sent you, and start the next phase of your life. It's going to be great. Just turn off the noise and focus on the future.
I wanted to throw out one final little note here. For anybody who does go to thrivetimeshow.com, because I am such a pessimist about everything all the time, which is, I know you and I share that sort of, not cynical, but it's like a very, we'll trust you after you prove it kind of thing. That's the key to being a great researcher, by the way, as you say. I'm going to trust you, but verify. So for anybody who wants to see proof, if you go to thrivetimeshow.com and you click on testimonials, there are thousands of people just like you who are having massive success, and they're just like you. So if you're looking for a Hispanic success story, or a female success story, or a man from New York story, or a woman from New York story, or a man from Ohio story, or two women from a mom and daughter story, a fitness story, a not so fitness story, they're all here. ThriveTimeShow.com. 20 years we've been doing the same thing. So you can get those tickets at ThriveTimeShow.com. Also, you can request a free consultation. I call those a 13-point assessment. Free consultations for all your listeners are available right there at ThriveTimeShow.com. Mel, you are the best. Rob, you're the best. I appreciate you guys putting up with me.
Thank you, and happy birthday to your amazing wife. And thank you so much for everything you're doing for so many people out there. It is really the best thing anyone could do for their future right now is to get a coach like Clay and take off wherever you want to go. You can all get there. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Clay, and we will see you next time.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
4,000% from February to February. Now I can better that. Okay, Clay, I don't think you know this. I don't think you know this. I'm pinching myself, and if I cry, forgive me. In the last 2.5 days, we have bettered our entire month of February in the last 2.5 days. So, and the phone's blowing up. Everything's just blowing up. You're right. It is like a rocket ship. So we're pinching ourselves, actually.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
But I recognized at the age of 15, I'm going, you know what? I am not going to live that way. And so I started a company out of my parents' basement called djconnection.com. And I decided I am going to have success. And so I reached out to millionaires and people that I kind of knew through church and friendships and people that parents of my friends. And I said, what book would you recommend that I read? I'm a 15-year-old asking this question. True story. And I kept being told, you got to read.
Hello, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. It's an exciting time. Also, I think a treacherous time, a spooky time also. But it's always, danger is a good time. Today, my guest is Clay Clark, and I went out with Tom Wheelwright to visit Clay with Eric Trump also. And the reason I want to talk to Clay this morning is a very important subject called study. And the reason I say that is things are changing so fast, and many people are completely missing the show. Things are changing at rapid speed. Technology is changing. And so I went to Tulsa, again, with Tom Wheelwright and Eric Trump. And the thing I was so impressed about Clay is this word called study. I don't know, you guys must be in your water or something, Clay, but boy, I was so impressed how big you guys are. But what really impressed me was you have this huge congregation. They're all about guys your age. They're on fire. And you start your classes at 5 a.m. Now, let me talk to you about study here. We show our books here. Now, this is how I study. This is The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's on the Fed. And Clay's doing the same thing. We study. So I go out to Clay's place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's built this huge compound out there. And you guys start at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not by Zoom. They drive there. They show up 5 o'clock, bright-haired, bushy-tailed and all this. And they're on fire. Your group is on fire. So that's what was on Clay, this technology you tell your group. I was so impressed. Because, like I said, studies became a bad word. I got into fights in my own company because our staff didn't want to study anymore. And I don't know how they cannot do that. So, Clay, anyway, welcome to the Rich Dad Radio Show. That's what I want to talk to you about, is how do you do it? 5 o'clock in the morning, you have hundreds of people showing up in your huge auditorium on your property to study. Anyway, welcome to the show, Clay, and what turns you on so much? That's what I want to know. Give us a little about your background.
My name is Karime Schofield, and the name of our company is Whistle While You Clean.
I am Sophia Schofield.
We live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we service the tri-state, so Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana.
We were getting a phone call, and we were like, why is someone calling our business line? That's unusual, and we picked it up, and it was a lead.
I mean, it's been incredible, Clay. We've gone from 0 to 100% growth. We're a full functioning company. It's great. We're blown away at how well we're doing. So working with you guys have really taught us a lot about generating leads and pursuing our Dream 100. So we have a list of customers that we want to market to. And so we've been making phone calls. We've been showing up in person. We're trying to get near the businesses that they would visit if they were visiting a hair salon or something. And then we start calling them and we just start pursuing them. And then the other thing that we do is when we do cleans, we take a lot of video testimonials and we post those to our website so other customers can see. And then we also upload a lot of images of the things that we do. And so we're also asking our clients for Google reviews after we've cleaned their houses. And so it's this constant like cycle of doing those things over and over and over again. I would say if you're on the fence, go to one of Clay's conferences. They are hilarious. They're fun. They're educational. They're so good that even my teenagers like them. And I would say don't let fear hold you back. If you want to start a business, do the obvious thing and hire someone who knows how to run businesses. If I wanted to get in shape, I'd hire a gym person, a personal trainer. This is like the personal training for business. It has been absolutely amazing. I mean, our coach is encouraging. When he first met with us, he said, do we want him to be like a drill sergeant with us? What level of intensity do we want him to give us? And I will say he is incredibly encouraging all the time. And he just hits the same mark with us every single time. It's very repetitive, but I think we both really learn a lot every time we sit down and have a conversation with him over the phone. He keeps pushing us to go further, and he can recognize when we're afraid to do something and he'll give us a little bit of grace, but that next week he's drilling us again, like pushing us to go harder. Our no-brainer offer is we are offering your first clean for $1. And that sounds absolutely insane. It even sounded insane when I was talking over it with our business coach. And I will tell you that that has generated some of our hugest clients. I mean, that has been like a game changer because it opened up the door to more clients, more recommendations, more leads. And we were surprised how far that dollar clean got us.
How important has it been for you to work out that scripting, even though you offer $1 for the first clean? How important has it been for you to nail that down?
It's been really important because it kind of it hones in so that you're not just all over the place when you're trying to explain what it is that you do. And a lot of times it's like you're a good person offering a good product and you have integrity and you want to communicate that. But when you go to communicate without a script or without practice, it's just like a mess coming out of your mouth, as opposed to having this, honed in practice where you know what you're going to say, you know how you're going to say it, and you can almost expect better results when you do it that way.
Had you ever been an entrepreneur before starting this particular business?
No, never.
Did you ever think about wanting to own your own business someday? Or when was the first time you thought, maybe I would like to open my own business?
Absolutely. I've probably been dreaming about it for about 10 years.
Okay, and let me go to your daughter here. Had you ever thought about wanting to team up and open your own business? Or was that something that you were maybe excited about or not so much?
Well, for me, my parents would always listen to your podcast and business podcast. And as I started listening to them, I started realizing that I wanted to own a business.
It's www.whistlewhileyouclean.com. Honestly, the hardest thing was getting over the fear. It was the fear of the unknown. There was like a cloud of doubt that, you can't do this, you're going to fail. There was a few sleepless nights there when we did pull the trigger and join your team and start the coaching process. Even my husband put a little bit of pressure on me from time to time because it was just absolutely scary to take that jump and actually start a business.
Whoa.